prepared, talent and your skill will bring you to places in life that your character can't hold you.
I'm Danica Forsyth, Program Administrator for the British Columbia Athletic Commission. The following video will introduce you to Professor Gates from the University of the Fraser Valley. The university worked in collaboration with the British Columbia Athletic Commission to conduct a research study on dehydration in combative sports. We'll also meet Dr. Manjeet Gosal, ringside physician and medical consultant to the BC Athletic Commission. Dr. Gosal will discuss the physiological effects of dehydration and extreme weight cutting. Finally, we'll meet Liam Stevenson, a professional MMA fighter from British Columbia, whose weight cut nearly cost him his life.
Vanderlei Silva, that was who I wanted to be. Growing up as a little kid, I remember watching the first UFCs. I was like 6, 7 years old with my dad. We were always really into UFC, really into MMA, kickboxing, boxing. I was always watching the boxing fights. It was always something I dreamed about, fantasized about. My grandfather was a professional boxer. My dad kickboxed and was into martial arts. It was just in our lineage, and I was always very naturally aggressive, and I just loved to fight. Usually, I would diet all the way down to about 190 to 192 pounds. My final month before that, I was just starving myself. No carbohydrates, no sugar, really watching the salts, portion sizes, and I would feel horrible going through my training camp. What I would do is I would have to do a 2-day weight cut. So what that means is I would waterlog for 3 days. I would drink 6 to 8 liters of water. The day after that, I drank 8 to 10 liters of water. The day after that, I had to get 10 liters of water in me by 5 p.m. And then I would go to a hot tub and try to sweat out at least 10 pounds. And then I would go to bed. And usually I would cut 3 pounds-ish throughout the night. I wake up and I have to immediately hit the hot tub again. And I'm wearing a rubber suit, the whole deal. And I would sit in a hot tub and I would sweat. .4. I think I'm done.
They're thinking, of course, of the weight advantage, right? And that's the goal. So we have these weight categories that they fit into, and they may be 10, 20 pounds heavier than the weight category, so their walk-around weight is a lot more. And so they want to be the bigger and supposedly stronger guy by cutting down weight and fighting somebody who's maybe a little bit lighter.
Okay, here we go, main event. Liam Stevenson. Liam Stevenson, 185.
When you're going into the cage against your opponent, you want to be at a 100%. And we know that people who underwent a severe weight cut and became severely dehydrated aren't getting back to 100%. And that means you're going in at 95% of your strength or power or ability to regulate blood flow.
Guys who are dehydrated, they look hydrated once they enter the ring, but they quickly fade, right? They're competing, they do well for the first few minutes, but their stamina is not there, their endurance isn't there, and as soon as they start slowing down, they're being picked off by their opponent.
I would go partially blind. I could kind of see shapes, although breathing. My spine would hurt, and my bones would ache, my skin would ache. It'd feel like you just were getting right down to death's doorstep. I'd act like a tough guy. I'd just, stare the guy in the face and, put on the show, and then I'd just crumple. And at times, I remember going into a fight, my vision hadn't fully locked into normal. I just remember being like, it was so hard to figure out. It was like he was waving. I couldn't see the distinct outlines of his body. I could just kind of see the motions of like, okay, there's his hands and there's his legs. don't let him hit me.
So for the cognitive tests, the biggest thing that we saw related to dehydration was that you make more errors during the test. You're not reading what your opponent's doing as effectively as you would otherwise. You may be making more mistakes based on what you're seeing or hearing in the ring, and that can lead to a significant negative outcome. Secondly, we saw changes in cardiovascular functioning. As you become more dehydrated, your blood gets thicker and your heart has to work harder. That has downstream effects in terms of your ability to regulate body temperature, supply other organs and bodily systems with blood, and that is also going to be negative for you on day of competition. In terms of strength, we saw a significant reduction in upper body strength and lower body power that was correlated with the level of dehydration on day of weigh-in. And you don't want to be less than your optimal strength or power on your day of competition.
With dehydration, everything dehydrates. We've got decreased blood flow, so we've got less volume of blood to push around our body. You know, you've got to get blood up to your brain. Oxygen for your brain is extremely important. Most of our energy is expended in the brain to keep that functioning. Certain types of dehydration, you set yourself up for seizures, right, or brain swelling. When you have less fluid overall, you have less fluid around the brain, and this fluid works as a buffer, so it stops the brain from bouncing off the inside wall of your skull and cause concussions to even brain bleeds, right? And that, of course, is disastrous. Right? You don't have to have a high velocity impact to get brain damage.
Cut down, I would think I was 2 pounds over, and I was starting to have muscle cramps. It's not fun. So he weighed in at 170, I weighed in at 172, but he, for whatever reason, decided to back out of the fight, which was extremely disappointing because emotionally I was just a man possessed. I don't think it would have mattered who you put me in there with. And then, so my next fight, do the same thing. Back into fight camp for the last 3 weeks, start doing the water log, the repeat. But what happened was my body wasn't flushing the water. When you drink all that water, you're constantly expelling it, you're constantly urinating. I stopped, ballooned up to well over 200 pounds, and it just wasn't peeing. So I was like, oh, whatever, I would just go sweat it out. So I jumped in the hot tub and I got down. It was not coming off very easily. Well, it got to the point where I was vomiting and I was, all right, well, I just need to mentally push through this. I collapsed. I just knew that I couldn't fight after feeling like this. I knew something was really, really wrong, to the point where I had almost come to terms with death laying there on the floor, where I just knew that I'd driven myself down so low. So, okay, I go to the hospital, go get an IV, right? Go rehydrate. So once they put the IV in me, it started to flush my kidneys, and I guess my kidneys were releasing a protein, a toxic protein, into my blood, which made me go into shock. They didn't think I was gonna make it through the night.
The kidney's main function is to get rid of waste products, get rid of all these toxins that build up in our body. When they accumulate, you get symptoms. So you get these toxins in your body, the toxins go to your brain, you get confusion, agitation, delirium. Your muscles can suddenly go into a cramp. The kidneys control the salts in your body, electrolytes. And when those change, you don't get proper electrical flow through each nerve. So you get things like arrhythmias. So the heart will become erratic.
It can mean that you're going to have organ systems that you need for optimal physiologic functioning that aren't functioning as well, from your brain to your kidneys to your liver to how you're breathing. You also see changes in how you regulate your body temperature, and as you become more and more active, you become hotter. You want to be able to dissipate that heat for all of your organ systems to function properly. And if you're not dissipating heat the way that you're meant to, you're going to see a decrease in functioning of all bodily systems.
They kept me in the hospital for 5 days to watch me because they were really, really concerned about me. The final day when they were releasing me, the doctor made sure that he saw me, and he really hit it home. He says, you don't know how close you came to dying. He says, kidney failure is when you drive your kidneys down to 15%. You willingly drove your kidneys down to 21% functioning. He told me that I mandatory have to take 8 months off, no physical activity. So I'm now on my road to recovery physically, mentally. I'm now fighting at a heavier weight and trying to get healthy.
You focus on dietary interventions, aim to get as close as they can to their fight weight over a period of 4 to 8 weeks. If they want to compete at the highest level, you cannot risk dehydration.
Just be smart. Just stop weight cutting, just those few pounds just to get in, to make the weight fine. But it's something that just needs to go away. I've seen a lot of fighters go through it. I've been through it. I was very fortunate, and I'm very fortunate to be here speaking about it. And I think everyone needs to learn the lesson.
On behalf of the BC Athletic Commission, I'd like to thank Professor Gates, Dr. Gosal, and Liam Stevenson. If you have any questions or would like more information, please visit our website, bcathleticcommission.ca.